Welcome everybody to the monthly JAMIS GovCon webinar hosted by RAFA Technology, located in Washington, D.C. and Rockville, Maryland. My name is Glenn Anstead. I'm the partner in the technology practice, and I'm going to be walking you through this webinar today to talk a little bit about how dashboards can provide better and more effective visibility to drive business decisions. So thank you for joining us today. Everyone is on mute for right now. In the webinar, you can look on the top right and download a copy of the slide deck that you can utilize offline for your convenience. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So today's agenda, we're going to really skip through the introductions and dive right into, who is RAFA, what is JAMIS, how dashboards integrate and drive business intelligence, do a little bit about what JAMIS, the software ERP product for GovCon, is all about, a little bit about what differentiates RAFA from all the other consulting firms that are out there, and then we'll wrap things up at the end. So a little bit about RAFA. RAFA is a large accounting consulting technology firm headquartered in Washington, D.C. and offices in Rockville, Maryland. We've got about 300 plus specialists working here at RAFA. We do audit, tax, business outsourcing, and of course, technology. We've been around for over 34 years. We've got 19 partners, including 12 women partners. We're a woman-owned firm, and we're a B certified corporation, which means we give back. It's really a hard certification to get. Patagonia and some of those other organizations are also in the class with us. We've been recognized in our technology practice as being one of the top 100 firms across the country and a little bit internationally in terms of partners for CPA firms. We're also recognized by Bob Scott, a leading author on accounting software vendors and partners, and we've been in the top 100 for 8 or 9 years. RAFA provides a wide range of services, and you can see that here on the slide. We're focusing here today on our technology solutions, but you can see we also provide a wide swath of services across the business landscape. So a little bit about the RAFA technology. We support a number of ERP accounting systems. What we're going to be talking about today is really focused on the government contracting and the nonprofit NGO space, and that's where we lead with JAMIS Prime. We'll talk a little bit about that later. We also work with Dynamics SL, Solomon GP, Intact, and Dynamics 365. We do some work in corporate performance management, think of budgeting software systems and BI tools, and professional services and support. So in terms of your accounting software, it's more than just the software, it's also the partner that you utilize to implement it and the ongoing service and support that you get beyond the go live. We do hosting, we do ERP selection criteria, general support, upgrades, and CIO for hire type services. So what is JAMIS? JAMIS Software Corporation is headquartered in San Diego, California. They're 100% dedicated to the federally funded space. So that's government contractors, it's nonprofits that are receiving federally funded grants and awards and cooperative agreements. Got an impressive and loyal client list of all sizes, from 5 million in annual revenues budgets all the way up to hundreds of millions of dollars in annual budgets revenues. And why is that important? It's important because if you're a small, mid-sized service organization just entering into government contracting, or you've been around and you're on a legacy system or QuickBooks and you need to move up, but you don't want to have to do this multiple times, it's good to know that JAMIS can stay with you for the long breath. We've got organizations that have 24,000 employees, hundreds of thousands of time cards per pay period, and billions of dollars a year that are being run through the JAMIS software. We're confident that you're not going to outgrow your JAMIS system, and we have these systems in place at many organizations around the country. 100% dedicated to the federally funded, and it's really designed for your service-based contractors. So what are some of the benefits of dashboards for your government contracting business? So really you want more than just data from your GovCon system. You need the information to be presented in a format for you and for other stakeholders to make decisions about your business and react to competitive market challenges. So you need to know when to act, when to react, and when to move forward. JAMIS Prime offers a collection of reporting analytic resources to make your job easier and more productive. And it's not just JAMIS that's giving these dashboards. If you're in another system, one of the things you want to look introspectively on your system, is it providing the information and the means to get at the data so that you can run your business effectively? Because it really goes beyond just the balance sheet and cash flow. To really get the benefit of a true GovCon ERP system, you need to see the health of your company at a glance. You can't be running a 10-page report filled of wonderful numbers and information and try to digest that. You need to be able to do a quick snapshot, a quick visual to spot good and bad trends quickly so that you can take action right away and not wait to be in a reactive mode. So what are some of the benefits of dashboards for your GovCon business? One, it's that single version of the truth. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means and what single version of the truth is. It's also security. Well, you've got all this information and you're providing it out to employees and staff and stakeholders. You want to make sure that the right information is going to the right person at the right time. And that's why security by role and group is very important in any ERP system, and especially in something like JAMIS. Multiple display options. So we've learned over the years, if you're in management, you know that not everybody learns the same way. Not everybody absorbs the information the same way. So it's important to have different ways to distribute that information to the end users and stakeholders. Is it a graph? Is it a pivot table? Is it a pie chart? Or some people are just those green eye shaded types and they just want to see the data. So having multiple display options is really important in how you're distributing that information to your organization. So single version of the truth. What's that really mean, this single version of the truth? So it really is all about bringing all the data across the enterprise into one central repository. And why does JAMIS do this a little bit differently? Well, JAMIS is one of the only systems that I'm aware of in the GovCon space that has everything under one roof. So everything from CRM, when you're driving on those opportunities and trying to see how those new deals are working out, all the way through finance and projects, distribution. So do you have any purchase orders that are outstanding, any commitments, HCM. So really it's your people that are really important in a service-based organization, and being able to onboard people quickly and effectively and have all that information tie together with your CRM, your finance, your projects, your distribution. It's all together. So all that data across your enterprise by business entity, contract, customer account, vendor, having it all together in real time so that every member of your team, when they come to those meetings, they're all talking about the same data. It's not, Joe's over there in one side of the business and he's dumping everything out into Excel and he's forming his own conclusions based on other data that he's commingling in. Or some systems that are out there, they're really, they portray themselves as being a full-featured ERP, but really what they are systems that have been bolted together over time with many different disparate modules and functionalities that have been essentially tied together, but not tied together with the data. You're still throwing data back and forth across the fence. So JAMIS is one of the only systems in the GovCon space that really has that unique attribute to have it all together in one place. So again, that single version of the truth is, the other problem is if the data was easy to get at, if the data was right in front of us, we'd all be experts. We'd all be CEOs of our organization. But the reality is that data is hidden. It's deep down in the database. And sometimes it's those relationships between different data points that are important. So in most GovCon systems, business information has to be mined from disparate and dirty data that resides in multiple incompatible computer applications and databases, and in many cases, like I mentioned before, bolted together over time. And when you do this, it's natural that these disparate systems and these bolted together systems may not have the same data reflected in the same way. And in those cases, it can take months and years to combine and integrate that source data so that it will ultimately get you to that single vision of the truth. With JAMIS Prime, on the other hand, all your data is in one database from the beginning to the end. And that one database allows everyone in your organization to access the same source, the same data, and arrive at that single version of the truth. So one more slide that I think is really important is, why is having a single version of the truth, why is it important? Hey, who cares? I can pull all this stuff together. I'm Mr. Joe computer whiz bang guy, and I can pull all this stuff together with this fancy SQL query and pivot table, and I'm going to give it to you. Well, the reality is, unlike some political circles where alternative facts appear to be acceptable, you can't afford to have them in your organization. You can't afford some people in your organization relying on alternative pieces of information that they believe are facts, when in fact they're making assumptions about data that's not in your system. You have to get rid of this alternative view of things to run your business more effectively, more efficiently. Having multiple versions of the truth, or having multiple versions of what each person considers the truth, can lead to confusion, paralysis, and bad decision making. If I'm looking at data one way and you're looking at data another way because we pulled it from different data sources in different ways, we could come to completely different conclusions because we're not looking at the same data. Inconsistent, contradictory data erodes the trust in the numbers, and you need the trust for your stakeholders, from your end users. And you need to have that trust in your system so that you can move forward and understand current performance and forecast into the future with confidence. So with all that data, security is important. We need to make sure that, that data is all there, and yes, we want to give it to people to help them make decisions, but the right people need to see the right data. And certain information is just not privy to certain people in the organizations. You need to see what's important to each person and each part of the organization. Managing the security in a disparate system it's made up of multiple silos and bolted on systems, that can be really tough because each one of those systems may have its own security model. So with JAMIS Prime, we manage all the ERP data security from a single location inside JAMIS Prime that permeates the entire ERP application. The core benefit of your ERP is sharing the data effectively across the organizations. You want to eliminate the integrations, accelerate the efficiencies and learning curves through a common software interface. So having it one way for all people makes it much simpler to distribute and for the end users to adopt. The other side is having all that information in one place. It does create a level of risk. Gathering all that stuff together. While of course it's easier to carry all your eggs in a single basket, it's also important not to spill the basket, not to let any of those eggs magically disappear. So in the broader scope of your GovCon system, it's really important to identify and address your security risk. So One of the challenges, and I've seen this at some of our clients, that they have systems that really just don't provide the data in really easily attainable ways. And the data is all sitting back there in that SQL database, and it's sort of it's in that mumbo jumbo. And the way people end up getting it is they write SQL queries where they dump stuff out to Excel. So that's all really nice, but just keep in mind, the more that you're asking people to print out information, to dump it out to Excel or to an external system, allows that information to walk out of your office. And when that information walks out of the office, over time, these propagate within the organization, and you can lose track of the extent and locations of where people are compiling this data and what data they're compiling. The other part of that is if people are doing these things outside the system, are those external systems being backed up? What happens if you have a hard drive failure for something that someone's maintaining an access or some special Excel database? If an employee were to leave or become disgruntled, you don't want that data that's outside your system to be compromised or to be permanently lost. With JAMIS, security is important, and JAMIS also provides the highest level of security with the NIST 800-171 certification. And this is really paramount. If you're in the government contracting business, we all know that the government is asking for our security compliance information because the information they share with us about how they're doing business, they don't want that hacked and available to outside organizations. So what's the best way to present the information to our end users? So the number of queues for a decision increases with the increased task complexity. Complex tasks require achievement of more dimensions, and according to a study published in Science Direct about how the visual design of an ERP system affects the user's ability to consume the information, senior management really needs to look at who's going to consume the information and how do people consume it. For example, too much data, such as the case with traditional reporting, and we all can remember, if we've been around long enough, the income statement, the balance sheet, the PSR report that gets printed out and distributed, can overwhelm the senses, impacts the ability of the user to absorb and process the information presented, or to select different strategies due to their experiences and cognitive abilities. So having different ways to present the data, whether it's graphical, whether it's in a pie chart, whether it's got highlights that are pointing out red light, yellow light, green light. It's really important to have those varieties because we humans have limited cognitive processing capability, and this can impact our decision quality. So we need to have the right information presented in the right way so that we can make that choice. So having the display in a variety of formats, generating reports for key staff, visual dashboards at a glance with essential KPIs, the ability to export data to Excel for a one-off analysis, not to export it to Excel to create another view of the data, but just maybe to do some external manipulation, and making data available to external analysis tools such as Power BI and the dashboards within the native application. So those are all some key areas about how to present that information. So integrated dashboards is really all about having the information to run your business find you, not you, navigating in and looking around and trying to find that information. We can all get to the information eventually, but having that information presented to you is really key, because then you can make a decision and go on to the next thing. Whether you're in a large or small business, There are certain critical performance metrics that allow managers and executives to manage and achieve results. In order to navigate the complex waters of government contracting especially, keeping your fingers on the pulse of your business is essential. Using a GovCon ERP system such as JAMIS, and there's another of other ones that are out there, will allow your business to capture vast amounts of data, compile it, mine it, and to bring it to the end users in ways that they can consume it and they can use the information. So here's a couple of examples of dashboards that come, out of ERP systems. These are some examples that come out of JAMIS. But one of the things you want to ask yourself when you're looking at some of these is, what does my system do? And if it doesn't do some of these things in terms of dashboards and KPIs and analytics, maybe it's time to start thinking about a new system for the organization. So let's look here at JAMIS ERP and what does it mean and what's it do and why has RAFA become so excited about it. We talked about that end-to-end, and the end-to-end is really everything from project pursuit to management, contract to cash, procure to pay, hire to retire, and record to report. So it's sort of some real quick, snappy phrases, but the bottom line is it's from start to finish. It's from pursuing that new opportunity all the way to the closeout. It's while you're in, if you win that opportunity, you want to convert that into a contract. Once you have that contract, you need to be able to charge time to it, charge cost, ODCs, need to maintain, are you on track? Are you on budget? Are you over budget? Where are you in the scheme of things? You need to be able to invoice the customer. Or if you're in a grant and award scenario for nonprofits, you need to be able to track that information so you can report at the end of the quarter on how you've used their money. Procure to pay. So your vendors, you're going to be paying subcontractors, you're going to be paying general vendors, rent, utilities, subcontractor management, employee expenses, all these things that you need to be able to track. Hire to retire. So if you've got a GovCon business and you're out there bidding on some new work, if you win it, do you have the staff today to achieve that work? Or are you going to have to hire a whole bunch of new people? You're going to have to onboard a lot of people very quickly. Do you have the tools? Do you have the systems to be able to do that? And if you don't have the systems internally, many people rely on an outside payroll provider's HCM system or HR system. Well, that's all well and good, but now you've got multiple silos that you're dealing with. Wouldn't it be nice if that system that you're doing your onboarding in could feed all that information right into the financial, right into the project management system? So with many systems today, the information is in the cloud. And what that means is accessibility without limitation. So it doesn't matter what browser you have. You can get at this data from anywhere at any time. And that's really important because people don't always come to the office. We want people out in the field. We want our project managers at the client site. We have people that are in far-flung, destination locales around the world working on different contracts that we have with the government. And we need them to interact with our system as if they're right in our office. And that's where software as a service with web-based ERP systems such as JAMIS really show their value. So it doesn't matter whether you're using Internet Explorer, whether you're using Chrome, whether you're using Safari or Firefox, whatever you've got, you can get at that data. And that is really important to give people access. Having access through your cell phone. I mean, I think it would be an anomaly to find anyone in business today that doesn't own a smartphone of some type. And you can use this for time off management, for timesheets, manager approval, expense reports. And it uses the security from within JAMIS to control what you can access through your mobile application. So let's take a look here real quick at just a couple of screens that we've got within JAMIS. And so I am going to scroll across over here into my JAMIS database environment. And let's see if it's gone to sleep on me. Okay. So this is the screen that you're going to come into the first time you access JAMIS. So when you log in, it's going to bring you to a company dashboard. And this is really where all the staff are going to come to every day, and you can provide announcements, information about the company. You can have a social media tweets that are out there. And then you can have access over here on the right-hand side to typical things that people need access in their day-to-day life. So it basically becomes the landing page for all the employees every day. The other thing is you can put up here information that people need to be aware of. You need to provide congratulations to everybody. We just won a big contract at the Houston Space Center. We want to congratulate people on birthdays, company events. So let's make sure everyone goes out to play this Saturday at Torrey Pines. Hopefully it's sunny. Hopefully the course is nice. You know what? Sometimes it doesn't matter whether you're a duffer or a hack. Getting out and enjoying yourself on the weekend is important. The other thing is in accounting, how many times does the finance or HR people get asked in email, hey, what holidays do we have this year? I just can't remember. So providing them easy access to those holidays right in your system becomes really helpful to provide that information in a manner that becomes self-service. Let's take a look at a couple of these dashboards. You can create as many dashboards as you want, and each one of these dashboards can be comprised of different parts that are unique to the employee, to the group, to the role of employees. So here is an executive dashboard, and by defining an executive dashboard, I can then also give rights to who can see the executive dashboard. If I don't have rights to the executive dashboard, I won't even see it on my page. So let's just look real quick what's out here. So a quick link to our balance sheet and our income statement. So what do executives want to see? What is the latest income statement that's out there? Comparative revenue by month. So how are we doing, month or period over period? And how is that doing? And we can look in here and see, what the numbers are. What's our cash balance? What's our wrap rate? Employee count by department. What's our profit by different employees? And each one of these are drillable, meaning I can click on one of these dashboards here, and it'll launch me into the screen that is driving this information. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. The wrap rate, business opportunities that are out there. So what are we going after, the big deals, and where are they and what stage? And then I can drive into these opportunities and find out more information. Let's just say I wanted to drive and look at these opportunities. I've got these different opportunities that are out there, and they're in different stages. Let's just say I wanted to look at this particular RFP right here, which is this the thing for the JPL. Now, this is in process. It was a referral. So we've got information about the contract cost amount, the billing, the whole amount that might be funded, who's working on this, the B&P group, and, it's always good to have Brad Pitt involved. And then when's the RFP due, and where are we in the process? So let's maybe look at some of the attributes. Oh, this is going to be a cost plus. It's a new requirement. Maybe some activities that are involved. So these are different things that we're working on. And these activities, these events, we can actually create an event, and we can have that event populate the appropriate users' Outlook calendars. Relations that might be out there. Who's the relation that we have at the client? And Stephen Hawkins is always an important person. Billing rules, how's this going to get billed, and what's the cost and fee that's associated with this? And as you can see, there's a lot of different information. The other piece in here is, as we're working on this opportunity, we're going to charge our time. Where do we want to charge our time? Well, we can create a job that's unique for this particular opportunity, or we could create a job that is more generic. But again, we have lots of different ways we can come at this, and the key is, how does your organization want to do it? So it allows you to define the system based on how you do business, not how some consultant or some ERP vendor says you should be doing business. So we've looked here a little bit at the executive dashboard and lots of things that are out here. Let's take a look at the project manager dashboard, some of the information that's out there. So here on the project manager dashboard, we built this with contract profitability. So, we're looking at the contracts that the project manager that I've logged in, I have access to. So how much contract funding is in? What labor hours are out there? How many dollars have been spent in labor, materials, travel, subcontractors, ODCs, total cost, billed amounts? We've got a lot of information that we can capture here. And again, we can drive this out and look at more details about it. Funded backlog. It's always nice to have work that we're working on, but how much of the backlog that's out there is funded, and what's that amount that's there? The other key thing is, what percent of the funding are we at? So as you know, in many government contracts and awards and grants, once you get to an 85% threshold, you need to notify the contracting officer or the grant officer and let them know where you're at in the process, and so they can make adjustments. So here you can see exactly where you're at. You can create alerts and you can create notifications to let you know about that. Approvals that are out there, subcontractor invoices, pending change orders, a lot of information that you can work with. So a lot of times people that attend these webinars are from the accounting controller perspective aspects. And most people that are making decisions on ERP systems, it tends to come out of the accounting and finance area. So here's some dashboards specifically for you guys and girls, the controllers, the finance folks. So again, information on our cash balance, rates by period. And now here we can look at overhead, fringe, and G&A. Isn't it nice to be able to see how it's trending? I simply put my cursor on top of it, and you can see it's going to show you how the overhead, the fringe, and the G&A are trending. It's sort of interesting, and maybe this is something we need to dive into, but why is the overhead rate sort of running, so in the upper 20s, maybe 30%? And here in August, September, October, man, it's jumping all the way up to 54%. What happened? What do we need to look at, and why is this occurring? So again, it's presenting the information that's out there and allowing us to make a decision or to take the next step to find out the why. Revenue by period, how is it going up and down? Open AR invoices, what invoices are open and how big are they? Approvals, both in time cards and bills for payment. Let's just see how we can drill through the system, because the navigation and the ease of use is always very important. So let's look here at cash balance, for example. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look at the information on Wells Fargo. So here I'm going to drive in, I'm going to change my parameters here, get a little bit more information out of my demo database. And I see all these transactions that have hit between this time span for Wells Fargo. And I happen to look over here at this $4,500 bill, and let's find out a little bit more information about that. Now remember, we started at cash, so this is a check that was issued to Blue Sky Consulting. Check number, the date, the cash account, basic information about it. Well, we also have information about how it was applied. What do I mean by how it was applied? Well, if I wrote a check to Blue Sky, what did I pay them for? I paid them for an invoice. And now I have information about the invoice that I paid them for. Now, the other thing is, if I pay a vendor through JAMIS, when I generate that check or that ACH, it automatically puts a copy of that remittance in the system. So now I can look at this information and I can see the information that's here. That is really good good to have. And the other thing I'd also remind you of or point you out to is when you're looking at that information, the files, notes, and activities that are tracked in the system are all within the system. And if I put and attach a copy of a contract or a change order or an email from a contracting officer that's associated with a contract, I can attach that right into the system, so it is there for everybody to take a look at. But let's look at this particular invoice. I'm thinking, okay, I paid this check, I paid this invoice. So what is this bill? So I'm back to the voucher, the invoice that was created, and I have information about this. So I can see that, what job was it coded to? And what cost element was this associated with? And what's the cost element description that's associated with? They're a subcontractor. I got my labor category, information. There's a lot of information that we're capturing here in the system. And we can define by the user what information that may not be out of the provided default. We can add in and say, what I really wanted to know is what date was this associated with? What PO line was this on? So I can adjust these, and then I can also move the columns in this particular grid any way I want. So I have information about this. Again, we've got notes and files, activities. So on this particular item, I can put in notes about this particular invoice. I can go in and I captured a copy of the PDF, the invoice from the vendor. So again, really nice information to have to be able to allow your staff to be more self-sufficient. So let's come back here and get back to our main system, come back to our dashboards. So let's look over here at perhaps the business development dashboard. Remember, we talked about the ability from inception to the end, we're able to track everything. So here's a business development dashboard. What opportunities are out there? What's in the pipeline? What are the opportunities by value? Any new upcoming events? So one of the things that's really important to know is that when you're in the government contracting, federally funded NGO market space, you need a system that's going to provide that information to help you become more effective, more efficient at supporting your clients, the federal government, and other funders or customers. So we're going to flip back over here to our slide deck, and we'll sort of wrap up here. As you know, this is a relatively short webinar. We're not going to try to make you experts in dashboards in a GovCon system, but we wanted to give you some exposure to what one should expect out of their GovCon ERP system, and an example of how one system, JAMIS Prime, provides that. Now, when you're looking at people to help you with your accounting systems, it's important that you choose the right partner. And I don't say vendor, I do say partner, because when you get in bed with someone to help you build a system to support your organization, you want them to feel a part of your organization and to be committed to getting it right. You don't want someone who they're just another vendor in the equation, and you don't want them to look at you as just another customer. You want that relationship. So with so many consulting firms out there to choose from, why is it nice to choose RAFA? What makes RAFA special? So we've been around for 30 years, so we must be doing something right. And our key mission statement is to be a catalyst for positive systemic change in our community. And that systemic change is systemic change in a positive way. So we want to help to make the community that we live and work in every day more effective, more efficient. We want our clients to be more successful so that they can go on, they can hire more people. When they hire more people, that makes the community all that much more robust. So established in 1984, RAF is a woman-owned CPA firm and consulting firm. We have over 300 employees, and we're really dedicated to strengthening and supporting our clients in the greater DC region and beyond. We have 2 offices here in the DMV, one in downtown Washington, DC, and a second office in Rockville, Maryland. And our professional staff, we have CPAs, GovCon system consultants, network engineers. We have people that can walk the walk and talk the talk. We understand the need of management, accounting operations, reporting, government contract compliance and reporting. It's a very unique market space that not everyone is successful in. And based on our experience, we believe we are the lowest risk, best value proposition to support you and your organization. We really like the opportunity to talk with you and meet with you and show you how we've helped other organizations and how we could help you as well. And lastly, our goal is with every client, we don't want to be your vendor, but instead we want to become your trusted advisor. So together we can help, and we'd like the opportunity to work with you and your organization to make your systems more efficient, more effective, and better value to senior management. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Glenn Anstead. I'm a partner here with RAFA. Also have contact information for the other folks here in our GovCon side, Brett Martin and Jeremy Terrell. And we look forward to hearing from you and letting us come and assist you any way we can. Thank you very much and have a fantastic day.